I'm Eric L,
And I'm Shahan S.
and we're the Chronowalkers. We're here to bring you a video, and Shahan's gonna take you through it.
Oh, sure. So yeah, what is this video? Why does it exist? Well, this is kind of a preamble to a bunch of champion videos. We're going to do like some short kind of 5-minute introductions to all the champions and origins because there's some really exciting stuff. And we realized as doing it is that we don't want to keep on talking about the same really good, but we don't talk about the same really good cards every time because, okay, we have to talk about all the good Phage cards because we're doing a Phage champion. So this is kind of a short intro video of some cards that we think are just generically good. Will go in any deck as a reasonable, like, thing. You need some attack, this is a good card for green. You need some movement, this is a good card for blue. So just some good stuff cards to talk about.
All right, let's start with the strike cycle. A cycle of cards in every color that have the word strike in them. And as you can see on screen, they're all very similar. And what they do is 1 damage of a specific type, and they have modify. If you have dealt that type of damage this round, you reduce the cost by 4 aura. These will be solid 3 cheese to put in any deck, and that's why we have them up here.
And then, yeah, like we kind of think probably for reasons that we'll get into later, Electric Strike will likely be one of the more played ones. It's largely to do with one of the champions that we'll be talking about in a future video, which really loves electric damage and the pillars, which is a mega cycle across multiple sets.
Mm-hmm.
So watch out for this one because we think it's the most likely to be playable, but these are all just solid cards.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's move on to Jaelara.
Oh, so yes, this brings us to, I guess, our first slide of Jaelara cards. So these are ones that, we think will make many decks. Special shout out here to Aura Purge, which we think is going to be a really cool meta kind of rotating card with card draw, because there's like some very strong card draw cards we've already been playing with, and this is kind of a trap that, like, when there's lots of card draw, it comes in, and then people stop playing card draw, it's a dead card, so people won't play it. And then Called Shot is just a really solid, like, 4 energy, 5 chi, forward awareness, 3 damage, like swift speed. It does what you need to do. It's not too expensive, and every deck can play it. It's Jaelara. So that's another key one to put up. And then we've got some defensive cards, Innovative Cover and Mystic Protections. And then finally, Right Hook, I guess a replacement for the previous 3 chi, 1 damage card. Does a little bit more. And then, well, maybe we should spend a little bit more time on this one, Eric. We got Violent Bimant, which is our 8 chi, forward awareness, range 6 attack, swift speed, 22 aura, 6 health. This is a beast. Mm-hmm. It's actually a fiend, but this is a beast.
Yeah, and some people say it's a angel killer, but I believe it might be an angel replacement. What do you think?
Yeah. That's nice. Well, what could you? I mean, why would it? Oh, wait, I see. Is that a Stone Protector there, sneaking, looking at the bottom?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Stone Protector. It also deals 6 damage. It does it at a range this time. Teleporting 6 damage is very good, as we've seen before. In fact,
so
might be my new best friend.
Yeah. So the big question here is, what is better, EricL or just being able to be 1 space further back to deal your damage? Like, as a floor, like if you're in the Angel Stone Protector deck, at a base level, Bimant without a Stone Protector is a little bit more scary to a degree. Like, it obviously it can be attacked back, summons can come in, but there's the fact that it can just stay 1 space back means it's further out of counterplay range. Movement will still be a thing, but just being able to stay back further and attack is kind of a big deal. But yeah, like Stone Protector to being able to teleport just to further away out of range of certain counterplay is just super interesting and relevant. And yeah, maybe these are new best friends.
Hmm.
This also brings the combo into any blue deck, right? We don't have to be blue yellow. We can start doing this in other colors, blue green, blue red, you name it. Lots of other uses here.
Yeah, exactly. So now any blue deck gets this combo, and that's definitely something we're gonna be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Bellum, and of course you can't talk about Bellum without talking about Bolt Shot. It's going to be in almost every single Bellum deck, if not every single Bellum deck. So we don't feel like mentioning it for every single champion, so we will mention it here. Always keep this in mind. Next up,
Yeah.
we have Drawbreak. Drawbreak is a very good card. It gives card advantage, card draw in colors outside of blue, which is really good, and it'll synergize with some future champions that we'll get into as we go along.
Yeah, just to mention on Drawbreak, the break is a cycle. There's Aura Break, Beckon Break, and so forth and so on. But we really wanted to highlight Drawbreak because while its first activation is always going to be neutral and card advantage, like you played a card to get Drawbreak, then you have to find a way to take 5 damage, but that's going to happen sooner or later. And then you get to draw 2 cards and discard ones. Well, so the net there is you've just kind of just cycled Drawbreak with a little bit more card draw to try and fix your hands. It's a bit better than just like getting rid of Drawbreak to draw a card. But then as you draw more, and then especially Drawbreaks, if you got a couple going already, and then you draw a Drawbreak late in the game, it has that synergy with itself where you can discard late game copies which aren't relevant because you're already low on life to the trigger to just find more relevant cards. So we feel this one's worth highlighting just because of that innate synergy that it has with itself to make it just a solid gameplay piece.
Yep, exactly. You can run more copies of this than the others because it can discard itself, which is solid. Next up, we have Tower Sphinx. Tower Sphinx seems a little unassuming, but it is just a better Goliath Sphinx Eater. Less aura, 2/2 with forward awareness, but it has the ability to do that extra damage, which is modify stack 3, not actually that hard to achieve in Genesis. So this is going to basically just replace that spider and probably slot into a few new decks.
Yeah. Yeah, not too much to add, but just like don't fall into the trap of being like, oh, I don't have the modify stack 3, so like, oh, it's not that good. I have to get the 3 to make it good. This is just a solid like that range access in terms of what it's hitting. It's a cast, not an attack for angel stuff. Like it's just like it's good meat and potatoes, solid stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And then we have Disabling Shot. So Disabling Shot, forward awareness at 4 chi. Heavy range to attack, so it is action speed, but it has a fatigue of 5. So that means if you hit a champion with this, they have to pay 5 energy. So Disabling Shot is going to be meta dependent, because if there's a lot of champions running around without energy reduction, this will be a strong addition because you can have a lot of them in your deck and really just burn out a lot of cards.
Yeah, like 2 damage per card is not quite enough to be like, oh, this is going to win a game. Like once your cards start doing 3 damage, that's when it's really a big thing. But the fatigue is just like 5 is a large number. And what we like about this card is it does a reasonable amount of damage at a reasonable range, not swift speed. Or with a regional awareness is what I'm trying to say. Not swift speed. But it does it while improving your deck because that's 4 chi, right? So like we're not saying this is busted, but it's just like it's going to improve the rest of your deck while giving you something reasonable to do.
Exactly. Will this replace Wind Slash? Probably not, but that's why it's a meta call, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wind Slash being swift speed is definitely the right call
Yeah.
if you don't know what's going on. But then if it's a good time to pounce with some disabling shots, you go for the kill.
Exactly. So this will be a good forethought card. All right, let's head over to Thymos. Thymos.
Cool.
All right, we have our first card of Thymos, Diving Juke. This card is
boy.
insane.
This is I think like this was like one of the first cards spoiled from the set way like 7 months ago in the Kickstarter, and it's probably the marquee movement card for the set. Like, one of the reasons I love Origin so much is it adds so much movement and so much of that reaction that isn't just like murdering someone else, but just like actual movement, using the tactics, the movement on the game board, reaction space. It adds so much to all the colors. And Diving Juke kind of says it better than anything else because, I mean, there's not a lot this doesn't get you out of. If you have access to all 4 awarenesses to move, you're probably safe from almost everything.
Yep, exactly. All right, next up we have Snare. Yeah,
So
this
I
is
guess
another forethoughting card, but it prevents all that movement that we just talked about.
yeah,
There's a lot of
and
movement in the set. Now we have counterplay to it.
gotta give a shout out to ACG for doing that, right? Because like, you don't want to go like having the little safety valve in the set so that if things go too far one way, there's a way to pull it back. Just like we saw with Aura Surge earlier. Just like really, or Purge, sorry, or Purge earlier. Just really smart. Yeah, we think this will be a relevant card to bring in for anyone who's making silly movements. Looking at you, Kun.
All right, next up we have Volley of Arrows. All right, so Volley of Arrows, is this going to be a meta-defining strong card? We're actually not sure about this one, but it has some of the craziest awareness we've seen in the game so far, so it's definitely something you have to keep in mind when either building decks or playing against any Thymos decks, because they can hit from so far away.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is just something to just kind of keep in the back of your head because it's so different that it's kind of like, okay, stand up and pay attention, maybe think about this often. Not really sure. It's kind of hard to tell power level, but worth looking at.
All right, Hearty Soup. So this one is healing outside of Bellum. It's going to be a solid 3-chi. Again, I think Alex did a good job of filling out 3-chis that are playable but not busted, and I think this is part of it. Just a cheap gain 1 helps with a little bit of energy, and can really fill out your deck and synergize as well with some of the champions that we'll see.
Yeah, like obviously like gaining life isn't killing your opponent, right? It's gaining you 1 life. But there's an incidental little like extra value that you're getting here. And just it's so cheap, right? 2 energy. It's gonna be free for so many champions. And it's improving your deck the way all 3-chis kind of improve your deck. So just good stuff.
Yep. All right, we have Mute Nihonzaru.
So wowzers. I mean, we just talked about Bolt Shot and how a big part of the competitive scene Bolt Shot has been. So like while the stats aren't crazy, like this is no Baruch rushing at your opponent's face, but the stats are solid.
4/4 is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and then blanking like this summon is immune from AoE, which is what everyone's using to get rid of all the go white summons. Like it's kind of stand up and pay attention to that, right? Like it's definitely going to be a meta card. And then maybe it's just good enough because of, like we said, the ubiquity of the tsunamis, of the bolt shots in people's deck building, that like being immune to those cards, which probably people are still going to be mainboarding, is absolutely something you should be paying attention to.
Oh yeah. And Volley of Arrows as well. Yeah, but you put a couple of these down, 3 or 4 out, and then all of a sudden, what's your opponent going to do? They've got to deal with each one individually. So something to keep in mind. And then finally, we have Lunging Assault.
Yeah, so this one's fun. I feel like it's kind of more of a main board card because I mean, it could also be a reaction, like a sideboard to deal with some of like. I mean, if someone's playing Volley of Arrows, Lunging Assault's a good way to kind of make that look a little embarrassing, right? It's hard to tell like which would be which one's going to be defining, and which one's going to be reacting. Like Lunging Assault, kind of like depending on which one's more popular, Lunging Assault kind of precludes Volley of Arrows. Or maybe Volley of Arrows is just a safer mainboard one, and those style of cards, and then Lunging Assault comes in as an answer. Like HE reactionary cards are not exactly where you want your reaction to be, because HEs you can't have a lot of them. But I mean, do you need to react? You may move, you may rotate, and then punch something for 6 with
Yeah.
ranged attack. Like, I mean, yes, sure, it's great reactionary if you're like dodging a card, but I mean,
Well, also, it does feel very bad to have someone open this. So keep that in mind. I think the main reason this is going to be very strong is because we highlighted the Stone Protector and Violent Bimant combo. And if that sees a lot of play in any blue deck, which it very well could,
mm,
this is kind of a counter to that, right? They teleport, they attack you with the Violent Bimont, you play this, kill it, and then next turn you unexert and kill the Stone Protector, or you called shot the Stone Protector, or something like that. So,
yeah,
it's a powerful effect, but I think it's mainly to deal with strong summons that can't get out of the way.
yeah. Only thing I'll say about playing this is don't get caught thinking that you can rotate twice because you got 2 movements. Don't fall into the trap of like your natural movement pattern when you're playing turns, right? Move and rotate, move and rotate.
Yeah,
This is 2 moves, 1 rotate. Use it wisely.
yeah, and you have to move to deal damage as well.
Mm.
All right, let's go to Axon deck building. So, as both of us have been in Future League, whenever we build an Axon champion, this is basically how we start every deck. 4 epiphanies,
Yes.
at least 4 dedicated studies, sometimes even more. It just gives so much consistency to any deck you're making that it's a little ridiculous. The epiphanies offset the carded disadvantage of dedicated studies, and then dedicated studies help you find your epiphanies. So they really work well with each other. So yeah, I mean, basically any Axon deck that you're gonna build should start with these 8 cards.
Yeah.
Anything
And
else?
then
No,
like,
this
yeah.
is Axon deck building.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we keep on going a bit, maybe there's something that we mentioned earlier
Yeah,
to kind of deal with that. Like,
yeah.
or perhaps not. We'll see. Maybe Aura Purge will
Uh,
be there.
yeah,
Maybe he'll be there
yeah.
to
Well,
save us from Axon
exactly.
deck building.
Yeah, hopefully. If I think Aura Purge will be incredibly highly played because of these 2 cards. So that's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, that's good. This is why this card's on our
yeah. But
list.
now we got that out of the way. We can move
Yes.
on to what we actually want to talk about.
Yes. So actually, Axon. So yeah, we'll start with a reprint. We're all excited to see Tsunami.
Yeah, that
So
is of the
why is
sweet
Tsunami good?
full art epic version.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why is Tsunami good? It's an AoE at 5 chi, done. Send tweet. Like, amazing awareness, right? You got the 2x3, and then 5 chi, 3 damage. Like, amazing rate. What's not to love?
Mhm. It
Like,
being played
other
against
colors need
you.
to get to a much
That's
higher in
yeah.
chi.
Mhm.
Yes, that yeah, I would not love that.
Yeah.
Um,
But you will, unless you have your Muzahans, get them now. All right, let's move
yeah.
on. Psychic Blast.
So this is
Yeah,
a scary card.
this card's very interesting, right? Because it's 4 damage and 4 fatigue in Axon with a forward awareness. So that's a pretty good damage and
Yeah,
low on energy at only 3 energy, but you have to discard 1. So
yeah,
we've seen Cabus, which has been a very played card in Axon because the discard 1 allows you to play it in the late game. And this will be very similar.
yeah. Like the discard cards are always really interesting because it is that. Well, I don't really want to be doing discard early when like every card matters, and I want to get the maximum out of every card. But when you get to that, if you can get to that top decking late game part, then having discard be a way to discount the cost of these. And this is an energy spending card in Axon. Axon does not usually get a lot of ways to mitigate energy costs. But mitigating energy costs by discarding a card from hand instead of flipping like another 5 cards off the top of the deck, that's exactly what Axon would rather be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like with the card draw we mentioned earlier. So yeah, like keep this one on your watch list.
Yep, definitely. All right, and then Warp. So Warp is a 3 cheat card. Again, Alex has been trying to put a bunch of these good 3 cheat cards in there.
And we
Um,
love him for it. We love
yes.
him. Thank you, Alex.
But yeah, this is just a decent mobility card at 3 chi. Kind of emphasizes the idea of surrounding your opponent, because if you go at the front, they can just kind of warp away, which is kind of interesting, and
Yeah.
synergizes pretty well with quick beckons, as we might look into later.
Yes. In fact, like the quick beckons are almost why this card is here. We've already seen how great Chronowalker has been, but there's another 6 chi quick beckon that's in this set that is just doing really, really reasonable things. And then like I think there's another 3 chi and Phage as well. The Illusion Moth, not quite main boardable because it's a summon without an attack, but hey, it's a quick beckon. So yeah, Warp is really here because of this synergy with quick beckons, allowing you to have a get out of jail card no matter where they're
Yep,
attacking you from.
exactly.
So
It's a build your own Chronowalker. So every quick beckon
yeah.
from here on out is now Chronowalker with this card. So something to keep in
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely.
All right, and then we have 2 warp cards right now: Warping Sweep and Warp Strike. These are very similar in what they're supposed to do at different chis and different damages, but kind of the same idea. You dodge an attack, you hit something, hopefully kill it, and in the case of Warping Sweep, you warp again. But the idea is just to kind of get away and then hit something. So
Yeah.
this is almost like a 2-for-1. If opponent tries to hit you with something, you dodge that, and then you kill something or hit something, and you can get a lot of value out of that. So definitely something to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, it's really the awarenesses on this that kicks it over the top. Just like being able, being protected from attacks from any direction is super solid, and well, almost any direction, I guess. Yeah, obviously not behind. But I think the big thing here is there's secretly a a little pump to an archetype that Eric and I love, but we feel hasn't got as much love, which is the summoner decks. Because both the damage triggers in both of these cards don't care about what the initial target it was for the movement. So all the summoner decks, which start by putting a summon next to them, if you have a warp strike in hand, doesn't matter where you're being attacked from, you're going to have access to a warp because you have your summon next to you, and then hopefully you can either place yourself somewhere where either you don't hit your own summon or are there for a counter attack. So that's why I love these. The reasons we mentioned earlier, we like our reaction cards to be lower entry so that we can have more reasonable access to them in every game. So my personal favorite is Warp Strike, but I mean Warping Streak does a lot. So can't discount that guy either.
Yep. All right, and now we have Phage. So first up on Phage, Bacteriophage. So this is
Okay.
one of the replicate summons, the 7 chi,
Yeah.
and it costs Exert
Hold
at
up,
23.
Eric. What is this? Wow, you've got a summon with an action attack here. What you playing at? You can't put that. That's not like you can't play action speed summons.
Oh, I
So
know. Action speed.
what's kicking this over the top then?
Oh,
What's kicking
what's
this over
kicking
the
this
top?
over the top? Massive stats. That's what it is. We get 2 bodies. You get 5 health, 5 attack in each one. A ton of stats in one card. You place this down, and it's just a massive threat.
Yeah, just 10
Yeah.
damage off one card that's a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, and your
mean,
opponent's going to have to bring out their AoEs if they want to deal with it, and even an AoE doesn't deal with it. So, now what are they going to do? Double tsunami you to kill one card that you played? Then
yeah,
all of a sudden you're up, 1 card and 13 aura, down 6 health. But what can you do?
yeah.
But if they don't have that, you just have this board presence in one card.
Yeah, I think a summon with the secret text trades with 1 AoE or more is kind of that's good text for someone to have.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So
Yeah. So not the most interesting card, but it's one that if you need a powerful 7 chi summon to put some work in, this is one of them.
yeah.
All right,
I
next
will
up.
say I'm a
Yep.
little bit more partial to our next one, which is
Caustic Millipede. Yes, this one is one of our favorites. We like this a lot. 6 health, 8 chi, 16 aura, forward awareness, swift attack. Oh, finally we got swift attack back. I was missing it. 4 damage, and decay brand. If anything is dealt
Yeah.
damage by caustic millipede that does not have decay, then they gain decay for the rest of the game, including champions. This card's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to print a summon that's like, if this summon connects, your opponent will die. You just have to find a way to not die before them, and they will die.
Yep.
Which is really, really fun. I also like to note that, I mean, this might be confirmation bias, but I do really feel that we're seeing some lower aura costs on these high chi cards. Like, there's an 8 chi which only costs 16 aura.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
we're used
exactly.
to our finishers, our HE finisher summons being like 20 plus 25 with Angel of Retribution. Like 16 is literally 2/3
Yep.
of more than 2/3, or less than 2/3 rather, of 25, which is Angel of Retribution, which is being like the marquee HE summon. And yeah, range attack, so it's gonna hit angels. Look at that awareness, like it's hitting stuff from so far away. And then the decay brand, so like it effectively is range attack 5. Like, let's not pretend that like the decay brand isn't immediately relevant. So this does 5 damage on the first turn. It just lets whatever it hits have a turn if it hasn't gone yet, but that's gonna take that 1 more damage sooner or later. So this
Yep.
kills 5 health summons.
And it's
Like,
key
this
that
kills
the
them.
aura is lower because there are a lot of low aura champions in Phage that can now run powerful summons.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, up next we have Electrical Storm, which is an action. Keep that in mind. It is action speed. Don't try to do anything sneaky with your Swift Speed Electrical Storms. But yeah, this is basically just a Tsunami. We already talked about how good Tsunami is. It's 1 chi higher, but it costs less aura, and it can deal with Angel. Nice. We have all these things that deal with Angel. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I think it really is worth mentioning that, like, that 1 chi, yes, that's significant, but you're getting the same amount of damage at the base, a little bit more if they have the relevant abilities. And then you're also getting a little bit of discount because Tsunami is 18, so you're 2 aura discount. So lots of upgrades for that 1 more chi in cost, which is not insignificant, but it's like you're getting a bunch for it. So.
Yeah, and I wonder if this card might also push Bimant to be more played.
And yeah, just a shout out, if your Electrical Storm says Swift Speed, sorry, it's still action speed. I think that might be one of the cards that I think in the Kickstarter maybe versions is going to be say Swift. So no, you don't get to play your Electrical Storms at Swifts. Then that, like, this would be like much higher up in our chat.
Yeah. Oh man, you're the judge. You're gonna get called on that so much. Good luck.
Oh no. Thank you.
All right, and last up for Phage, we have Electropheromones. So another AoE, almost twice the cost of our last one at 31 aura, and at 8 chi, but it deals 6 damage to everything, and everything you kill, every summon you kill, you get a Viduta, which is a 1/1.
Oh, so I don't get a summon if I kill the enemy champion? That's a little disappointing.
Unfortunately, no.
But yeah, this is
relevant in multiplayer. Relevant in multiplayer.
Yes, it is relevant in multiplayer. You are correct. But no, this is just a sweet card, and I guess the flavor is that the summons that they kill, they're kind of like, oh no, I ran out of food. I'm gonna stick around on the board. Maybe the Vidutas. Small things to shout out here. I mean, 6 electric damage to everything, right? Like, what doesn't that kill, right? Like, it kills basically everything in the game that hasn't been healed. And the 31 aura feels like a weird number, but it's actually super relevant because it's putting a bit of constraint, right? Like 120 versus 125, there's an actual difference there in your champion. That 1 extra aura changes a little bit of the math. Anytime you go, you're 1 above 5 or 1 above a 0. It's kind of like, okay, they noticed something here, the designers, and they wanted to just tack on a little bit more, just to make it a little bit more taxing and give those little taxes over the course of the game.
Yeah. All right. And then we have, as our last color, we have Chaos.
Ooh, but certainly not least, Chaos got a lot of great upgrades in this one. And
we're
starting with
Blood Rakshasa. So here we have a
Ooh.
5 chi 4/4. Wow. It's a lot of health and attack on a 5 chi card. It does cost 2 health to play, along with 9 aura, so you're basically paying 2 health to get that 1 health and 1 attack, compared to something like a Jaelara and Hound. So I think it's worth it, though, because
Yeah,
it
this is just
avoids
really solid stats.
Tsunami. Yep.
Yeah, dodges the tsunami. I mean, like, can't not mention Necrolich. This is going to be the aggressive Necrolich thing to fetch back from your memories to bring back onto the board. Because then you're not paying the health, right? Because Necrolich brings something that's not beckoning. Necrolich is just putting it from the memories around the board. So a 4/4 worth of stats plus the Necrolich is a decent increase in your aggression state of your board state. So it's definitely going to be part of that conversation too. But if we're talking about aggression, I mean, I think our next card also is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, Emergent Worm. Oh boy, this is one of our favorites. This one's gonna be everywhere. So this is 6 chi. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 6 chi comes down and is immediately attacking. We will say that we have a lot of love for this card. It lets summoner decks do some aggressive in the mix play, which isn't always the smartest thing for summoner deck, to be clear. But you have access to it if you just kind of think about the spots you have access to. And then, of course, we can't leave it without mentioning Bosin. Like, we'll talk more about this in our Bosin video, but just audience in your head, just imagine all the spaces that Bosin can hit with this, with no telegraphing to your opponent. It's got pictured in the head every spot an Emergent Worm could hit if you can summon it around you. So,
Yeah.
yes, solid card.
It's gonna
solid card.
Scary card against the Bosin. You're not going to know where, when, or how it's going to hit you, but it will hit you. Up next, we have Hellchasm. This has caused a lot of discussion due to its unique effect. But we can see here it's a 8 chi AoE with the Giant Scorpion awareness, the T awareness, and it deals 6 damage to everything in its awareness, while also putting a chasm from your subconscious on every spot in Hellchasm's awareness.
Yeah, so Chasm, if you the main thing to think about with Chasm is, well, there's actually 2 aspects. One is that it kills any summon it on it at the end of every turn. Turn, to be clear, not what's it called?
Not rounds.
Every turn. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other part is Chasm occupies the spots it in. So there's a
Yes.
little bit of a contentious play here where potentially you could run up to someone, and if they're at the edge of the board, just kind of pounce and trap them there.
Yep.
The counterplay to this is obviously it's an 8 chi card. If you're running 4 and 5 chi movement, then that is the way you get out of it. Because if you're not trapped, you know, like with your back against the wall, in the middle of the kind of the little T shape there, then like there's no real trap to your movement, right? They have to get you exactly in that center and against a wall to really trap you there. But it is something that can possibly happen in play. So we'll see if this is like a play pattern that is worth bending your deck towards, or if this will just be a solid AoE card that sees play. Like, we'll have to just see how it goes down.
Yep, exactly. And there's play patterns where you can move forward, leap Hellchasm on the first turn of the game, and kind of trap them in the forward area where they can't really get out. And if you don't have your movement abilities, you might be stuck there. But as we talked about Diving Juke earlier, Diving Juke is amazing against this card. Just avoid everything, and you're not even trapped. But anyway, even so, I think this is going to be a pretty strong card.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, up next, another 8 chi card, Malefic Impalement. Malefic? Who knows? How would you pronounce that?
I think Malefic sounds right to me in my head. But yeah, this card. So line attack. This is a newer mechanic.
It's a brand new mechanic.
Might be brand new mechanic.
Seen.
Never before seen. Yeah. So yeah, this is a brand new mechanic. And I think I'm trying to think if there's another card in the set with it. I'm not actually sure. But
there is one actually other line attack in the set.
Okay, sweet. So there is one other card with it. But yeah, the way this works is it doesn't use awareness. It just starts at or it doesn't explicitly use awareness. It deals damage to a target from the space which is shown on the awareness and then going forward. So like if you're on a board, the space in front of you and then every space behind that until you hit the edge of the board is a space that Malefic Impact can target. So just a very, very new thing to do. Like if you're a summoner deck, you can kind of hide behind your summons and hit someone all the way at the other end of the board, right? So like be like an aircraft carrier launching summons at your opponent and then just be sitting at the back with your Malefic Impalement.
Yeah. And think about it. You get hit by a 6 damage attack from all the way across the board that negates an ability. Like that last trigger, like it kind of hides behind the damage, but this is a counter spell that deals damage from all the way across the map. Like that's very strong. That's gonna get a lot of people. You know, you surround people with your summons. They try to Chronowalker out, and then you say, "Nope, you're taking all that damage."
Yeah, the biggest weakness of summoner decks has always been AoE, and this lets you put your summons where the best configuration is to be tsunami'd from like a specific location, and then just sit back like in a line from that location, be like, all right, opponent, do you think I have it? Do you want to go from the AoE in that spot? Or maybe you do your AoE from a different spot and don't get all 3 of my summons, you only get 2. Like it's like you get to be there just sitting back and threat of activating or threat of the opponent is just scared that that is going to happen, and then they maybe make a suboptimal play. So really, really cool card here.
Yep, and it is key that this should be played in summon decks because the exert cost is a real cost, and you want to be able. You don't want to have your turn. You know, you don't want to go too early in the turn. You want to wait for your opponent to do something and then use this in response to it. So you need your summons to get turn economy, and that is why it's good in summon decks.
Yeah, I will say the exert kind of makes me want to try and get that negate trigger too. But I mean, if you can kill your opponent, you should just kill your opponent. Let's be clear.
Yep. All right, up next. So this is another counter spell, Nullify. Negate all abilities in the stack by target champion or summon and nullifies awareness. So all abilities in forward, left, and right of you. That's that can be a lot of abilities.
Yeah, that is like this is a really, really strong negation effect. Like we've seen negation before, but and like cog restrict, of course, is like the marquee, like because of how many spaces it can hit. Nullify is also kind of doing a lot of strong stuff, but it's kind of like flipping it on its head. Like cog restrict is giving you versatility of being able to negate basically almost anything from very far away. Nullify is, well, if you come at me and try to unload multiple things, all your stuff isn't happening, and then my counterplay is going to be happening.
Yeah.
So just a different kind of take.
Yeah, and because of modify stack as a mechanic, this does add a lot of power to it, because a lot of usually what you would do is you would use an ability, wait for it to resolve, use another ability, wait for it to resolve, because you didn't want to stack up a bunch of abilities. But with modify stack, it might you might want to try to like push your luck and try to like get to that modify stack number, and then nullify can really punish that.
Yeah.
All right, and then
great card.
Yeah, and then finally we have Wave of Death. So we've just had counter spells in Chaos, and now we finally have the first kill spell in Genesis. So this just straight up kills anything in its awareness, which is left, right, forward, and backwards for a 1 health and 17 aura. So yeah, kill all summons in its awareness. So you can, oh man, that's it's gonna be pretty good. Like this, another thing that might push Angel out of the meta and might have Bimant take its place, right? Because if you try to Angel somebody with this, they just kill both of your summons, your Protector and your Angel, and now the Bimant will kind of avoid that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will note that in my head, this feels more like a fighter card for multiple reasons, like the low aura cost, the paying health. I mean, if I'm a fighter, I'm assuming my health is higher than my opponent's once like we start going through our cards. I'm pretty confident in my ability to just out damage my opponent in the short term as a fighter. And then that awareness, right? It lets a fighter dive into the mix of the opponent's summons, clear them all out, and then keep on wailing on the opponent. So like
Yep.
forethoughts fighters for anti-summon like forethoughting, absolutely.
Yep.
Like gotta be a player.
Definitely. Definitely.
All right.
All right, and that is the end of all of the affiliations and Jaelara that we want to talk about. And
Yeah, that's
yeah, please,
this is the meat and the
yeah,
potatoes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So these are all cards that you should look at when building decks.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hopefully this gives you a bit of a primer of like some solid cards to take a look for in when you're cracking your packs and building your first decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, look forward to our champions, which our champion videos, which will be I guess in the same playlist that we'll put this in.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just go straight from this into our first champion. So look forward
Yeah.
to that.
Yep. And if we miss, one of these cards in the champions, just keep in mind that all cards mentioned here can be put in these decks. So if we don't mention other champions, you can still put it in that champions deck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you
Um
find any cards in Genesis and Origins that you think is also really strong, please let us know. We
yeah,
these
if that was
are
on
just
there that
initial thoughts, but I'm sure there's something we missed.
yeah, if you really think Falafa is is a marquee card that we should have mentioned, then feel free to yell at us.
Pelarafa.
Pelarafa.
Yep.
Because there's definitely some great cards that didn't make this list, but we
Yep.
tried to keep it as constrained as possible.
Mm,
But yeah,
yep.
thank you for watching.
Yep. And we'll see you in the next one.